frame and everything. All right. And that should help. Cool. We're going to see who gets on first. Who's going to join first? What's up, Exilla? What's up? What's up, Chip? We're going to be forging a blacksmith knife tonight. Hopefully y'all are ready for that. I think it's going to be pretty cool. Put a little bit of get a little bit of a damp paper towel. What's up, Nathan? This old helmet, what's going on? Let me try and keep the phone cool. As it starts getting into summer, we're going to be getting a little bit warmer in here. Got to make sure I can keep everything cool so the phone doesn't overheat, because that's what I use for the live streams. We're going to be forging a blacksmith knife tonight. Y'all let me know if it gets a little glitchy or laggy or anything like that. But we're going to be forging a blacksmith knife tonight. What's up, Doug? What's up, Scott? From Australia. I am going to be, I'll show y'all what my goal is for this. So this is kind of the goal for this. What's up, Mule? My goal is to end up doing something that has kind of a finger hole here. I'm going to be using either bone or stabilized wood for an inlay inside here. And then I'm going to end up doing pins here and here, but we need to... Okay. We are having... I think we're good there. Let's see what happens here. I'm going to show y'all again, and we're going to see if we're going to disconnect. Anyways, we are going to be working on this. We've got to forge it to keep this area right here exactly how it is. I have got a pipe in this hole that I've never been able to use on this anvil. This is a Pritchard hole that is in the most idiotic, dumb spot anyone's ever put a Pritchard hole on an anvil. And I've got a pipe right here. This is the exact size that I need it to be. So I'm going to end up forging the back section. So this section right here around this pipe. I had to do a little shim. I made that today. But that's what we're going to work on. I am going to start with the blade profile, because we need to get the blade profile to about, I'd say probably about 60% before we end up working on the tang, because we're not going to really be able to work on the blade that much. As a matter of fact, we might even get the blade profile to about 75-80% done before we start working on the tail. And we've got to forge out at least 9.5 inches of a rat tail. So we're going to see how that goes. I should have plenty of material. We're going to start forging the blade profile. Let's get some of this off here. These Willys Jeep, these rings are actually painted. I haven't seen me use this hammer very much. I'm going to use this in this video. This is a 5.5 pound cross peen. Of course, from the old Two Bastards forge. All the hammers I'm going to use in the video tonight are all from them. I'll tell you more about it later. But let's move the anvil a little bit closer to y'all, because if I can't pull y'all to the anvil, I'm going to move the anvil to y'all. I'll bring y'all down a little bit. That way y'all can see what I'm doing a little bit more. That should be a little bit better right there. So that way we can work up here and y'all can actually see what's going on. So we're working with a piece of 5160, the Willys Jeep lease free material that I tend to work with, and I think it's going to be, pretty cool. Just see the 4-ounce crosspeen I made. Yeah. S Duke O City S. I don't know what that is. I don't exactly understand what you're saying there. So again, come in here with this crosspeen. Who needs a power hammer when you got a 5.5 pound crosspeen? Now, of course, I have a power hammer, so that's nice. So basically, what we're going to be doing, we're just thinning this area out right here. I'm going to end up pulling the tip up. Actually, I'm not going to pull it up at all. Whenever I do the bevels, it's going to pull it up. So what we're going to do real quick before we do anything else is I am going to go ahead and neck down the area that's going to be where the rat tail starts, and then we'll work on the blade profile a little bit more. Because that's probably going to get us close to where we want to be. Change my mind one more time. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and forge in the bevels a little bit and then get on the tail. And with that, we're going to use the dog head from Two Bastards. So one of the things with this dog head that I was having to try and get used to is a lot of dog heads are really flat faced. They don't have much of a bevel to them. So whenever I was hammering with this, I was getting marks from the edge of this from whenever I would hit. I would hit just a little bit too much with this section right here, and I was getting big dents either side. What Frank, the guy who actually runs Two Bastards, told me was to actually work on these two edges a little bit more and take them down with a 120 grit and just work this just a little bit, and I ended up facing it exactly how I like them. And it is absolutely perfect for me now. So I'll be using the dog head a lot. I like the weight on this. But that's also Two Bastards right there. And for the duck rabbits out there that are wondering, my forge is running at about 13 psi right now, so I don't have it pumping too crazy. I think what I'm going to end up doing for some of these smaller builds is I'm going to go ahead and build a slightly smaller forge. This forge has an 18-inch internal chamber, so 18 inches deep. It looks like it's a small forge from here, but if you turn it this way, that's my arm. So it's a lot bigger forge than what you think. These are both 9-inch long fire bricks. So from here to the center, and from the center to here, those are 9-inch long fire bricks. And I'm using about, I don't know, maybe 9 inches of the chamber right now. What's up, Steve? Okay. Let's go ahead and work on these bevels a little bit. All I'm working on with these right now, you can see this hard line right there. I'm just forging in that initial little bevel right there, and then I'm going to end up bringing it up a little bit. I'm not going to go too crazy with them because I am going to end up grinding in a bevel, so I'm not going to go crazy forge to finish on the profile or the bevels, but I'm going to get them pretty close. One of the things that I like about a dog head hammer is whenever you're forging with a hammer like this, you can swing the hammer directly over your anvil face. So a lot of hammers, especially my Fire Creek Forge hammers, it's very short between here and here. So if I come down on top of this anvil, my knuckles are basically touching the anvil. So if I come and I do this, I'm going to have a chance to hit my knuckles on the anvil. So with a dog head, you can easily hammer wherever the heck you want to hammer, and you're raised away from the actual material, and it puts your hand a little bit further away from whenever the material is really, really hot. Let's see here. Must have missed it. Show of hands, who remembers time Eric fisted this forge? Yep. Sometimes you got to show how deep it can go. Let's keep working on these bevels. So I went ahead and went up about 2/3 of it right now. We're starting to work those down. Planish just a little bit. Not really necessary at this point, but I want to bring those bevels down about another half as thick as they are right now. And we're starting to sprinkle outside. I hate that because that is going to make it muggy in here. Gotta shut the big bay door so the rain doesn't get in here. And then I'm going to have to turn the fan on just a little bit more. There we go. Get some of that cooler air in here. What exactly is a bevel? I will show you what exactly a bevel is. So, let's grab a knife that has a bevel forged into it or ground into it. What is this one? So this right here is the bevel. You have a plunge line, which is this line right here. That's where typically the bevels start. This area is the ricasso that's in front of this. So in between the handle where my fingers would be and the blade is the ricasso. These are the flats. These shinier pieces are the bevels. So bevels, flats, ricasso, plunge line. Hopefully that helps. And right now we are forging in that area that would be shiny. And basically what it's going to do is it's going to keep us from having to grind a whole lot later on. Alright, so pretty quick we were able to go in, forge in our bevels, get our edge thickness pretty decent. We're not perfectly straight just yet. But we're dang near close. Now I'll touch up a lot of that whenever we actually get done forging the tail. But right now, the edge is nice and thin. It's really straight. Thank you for subscribing. We've got a good profile right there, which is going to lend itself real well to what we're trying to do. Got a nice start to a distal taper towards the tip. Now, here comes the part where we got to move a lot of material. So we're going to grab it from the tip, just the tip, and we're going to have to come in and forge on this little tang that we have right here and stretch that out 3 times as long as it is right now. We're going to have 9.5 inch. It's probably going to get closer to about 10.5 inches because I left it a little bit long. We've got to stretch that out. Okay? Right now, we can only do so much because we are, if you can look, you can't see it very much, but yeah. See, whenever we put it on the anvil edge, you see this little gap that's right here where that heel comes back? We want that gap. Okay? We want that gap right there. So, we'll put this back in the forge, let it heat back up, just that tail. We want the gap, and I'll tell you why. Look at this. We need it to come up and then step up again. So that gap is going to be this area where this tang dives down into. We're going to be forging the tang from here up and back. So it comes in, it steps down, then it steps down again. Okay? Is it going to be this exact profile? It's going to be close to it, but it's not going to be exact. And again, if I was doing a lot of stock removal during this, if I was doing a bunch of grinding, I could get it exactly to that. But we're going to have fun with this and get it close. Amount of chaos you're surrounded by right now. What's up, Danny? How you doing? So for everyone here right now, remember the live streams are sponsored by Two Bastards Forge, the people that make all of these hammers that I use here, it's and I'm waiting for it to heat up. That's what we're waiting on right now. The hammers that I use, they're made by Frank and Nita. Those are the two bastards. Those people, absolutely awesome. They've been doing this for 6 years. They don't just make hammers, they also restore antique hammers and old school hammers. If you want a tiny ball peen hammer, you want a huge 5.5 pound cross peen, or you want a suede block or something like that, all you got to do is go check them out. It's Two Bastards, Texas, Smithy and Supply. You look them up, Two Bastards, Texas, Smithy and Supply. You look them up on Google, go to Facebook, all that stuff. But yeah, Frank and Nita, absolutely awesome. Let's put that further in the forge real quick. But we're going to start drawing out that tang. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and probably switch back to the 5 pound. Because we want to stretch that out real fast. It'd be really easy if I was just using a power hammer. 3 of them are going ham on the piano. Don't let them. The other 2 are playing rock, paper, scissors, punch. That's what you got to do. Okay, let's go ahead and get this tang drawn out, this rat tail. Heel all the way to the edge of the anvil. Start thinning it out. Woo. So that's the initial step up right there, and we'll start working on that. Bring that down just a little bit. So at this point right here, we are not going to worry about trying to make this beautiful rat tail tang thing. What we're going to do is we're just going to move as much material as fast as possible. We're just going to thin it out. Now, one of the things that I'm going to be doing slightly different here is whenever I get to having enough material, I am going to put an initial mark where this is going to be, and then I'm going to actually twist this section right here. So this is going to have a twist around it, and it's going to go straight again. So it's going to go straight back, have a twist that we're going to put it in the vise and spin it, and then it's going to go straight again. Use Mammoth Ivory for a handle. As a matter of fact, check it out. The Mammoth Ivory handles look beautiful and they're a pain in the butt to work with. So on your sketch, either wood or bone handle. Choice what bone you would use. So I've got several pieces of bone. Let's see. I'm surprised I don't have like 12 pieces of it up on the workbench. But I've got a whole bunch of bone, and I absolutely love working with bone. It's super easy to sand, super easy to polish. All right, let's continue stretching this out. We're going to start going from here and working our way forward. Now that we have that transition set up. Make sure you're going back and flattening whenever you're doing this. Don't worry about it going like this or like that. Make sure you're flattening it because we're going to squish down the material a lot. You don't want to end up with cold shuts or something that can delam. What I mean by that is if you hammer it down and you create kind of like an I-beam effect, and then which comes up like this, then lay it on its side and you forge it, you'll fold that I-beam layer over onto itself. know that I've got a knife that I can show you what I'm talking about. Somewhere around here. I have too many knives, guys. I have too many knives. Here we go. So what will happen is this little I-beam effect will happen. This lip that you're seeing right here, as you hammer down here, if you take and you let it get that lip and then you fold it on its side and you hammer down flat, that will fold over on itself and create another, like a fold, a layer in there. Then whenever you grind it off, you'll end up with a dent. So you don't want that. That's my steak knife that I made myself right there. Full integral, super thin. Absolutely awesome. You're a knife maker, you might as well be able to make your own steak knives and stuff like that. Let's keep going on this. Go ahead and pull that down just a little bit. Make it to where it fits in the forge easier. We're starting to thin that down. And all I did on that initial one was just make that little step up. We're going to thin it all the way down up into the spine area up here. But we're going to start back here. We're going to keep thinning that down. We need to go quite a bit thinner than that right there. This tang, or this rat tail, is basically going to be a square. So this material is just under 1/4 of an inch thick. So that rat tail is going to be in this area here, all the way around. That's going to be about 1/4 of an inch square. And like I said, we're going to twist it here on this back side just to give it a nice little flare. Y'all don't really get to see me do stuff like that very often. You think it's going to be a quick stream? We still got to get everything lined up so that whenever I have to bend it around, I really wish that I could bring y'all over here. But on this anvil, of course, like I said, I've got a pole right here. We're going to be forging it around this to actually get that ring that your pig is going to go through. But I've got measurements on the top of this anvil that show the first bend, which is this one right here. This is the first bend. And then from the second bend, which is this one right here, up to this bend right here. What's up, Gamers Forever? We are forging a blacksmith knife. Let's see here. Forging. So you might think that, but with my setup, this is super quiet. So I have my anvil on a nice big base, but I have silicone between the anvil and the base. I don't have any ringing. So whenever I'm forging, it's just dead thuds. Thump, thump, thump. It is awesome. There's so many ways you can get away from not having to worry about wearing ear protection. You hear that? That is not loud. one of the things you got to focus on when you're going to do something like this is really thinking about material management, because if you're going to try and do this and have that 1/4 inch square here, you got to be careful not to go too thin this way or too thin this way in any particular part, because if you do that, every other part's got to be evened out to that. So you got to be paying attention to that. Now I've got another one that I'm going to end up doing. I'm not doing it on this live stream, but this is another version of it. This has a 16-inch tail. So from here, all the way folded in on itself, all the way folded into here, is 16 inches. So it is crazy. But yes, this right here, whenever I'm doing this, I'm talking louder than the actual hammer and anvil is. And it's one of those things you really got to pay attention to, because there are a lot of things that make noise in your shop, like my angle grinder. I use earbuds for that. Noise canceling earbuds. All right, back in. Okay. Starting to do pretty good there. We got to keep bringing that out. The one measurement that I haven't put on this anvil face is the actual length. So the actual length that I need to tang, which is at least 9.5 inches. I need at least 9.5. So we got to put that on here. That is rat tail 9.5 inch. Need that on there because we need to know when we can actually stop forging this rat tail. Wonder if that blade can be used as a survival knife. Absolutely. So I've got knives that I make that I consider camp knives or survival knives. That's a big beefy son of a gun, 1/4 inch thick spawn. That's curly maple up here and gidgee on the back side. That is a big knife right there. Acid etched and stone washed. I did want to show y'all this. This is something I'm prototyping right now. So this is a new kydex sheath that I'm working on. This is so you actually put it on your belt here. So it's a cross draw kydex sheath, which I haven't seen many of. You got to get real crafty when you're making this, because the blade has to be able to slide past. So it needs to be guarded and protected here so it doesn't cut you, but it needs to be able to slide past that and go into the sheath and have retention. So that was kind of something I really had to think through to be able to figure out how everything is supposed to line up with that. All right, let's go ahead and get this back out. Continue forging this tail. A good 5.5 pound hammer. We're just going to keep tapering it, so getting this thickness down, and then we'll forge it again, get this thickness down, then get this thickness down, and keep working that. Go ahead and pull that tang back down just so it's easier for the forge. And right now, we need about another 3 inches out of this tang, and I'm pretty sure we'll get it. So we need about another 3 inches of length there. Paracord wrap handle, Blacksmith knife, design, going to work well. I agree. You only use, I just use steel to make a lot of my blades. I do plan on making a reverse knife where I use a really nice hardwood for the blade and then steel for the handle, doing some Damascus for the handle scales. I've seen old school cake knives and stuff like that people do that with. Did you cut the shape out of a larger piece, a 5160? No, it started out as, if anything, a much larger version of this. So basically, it was a bigger piece here, and then this was just basically close to a rectangle. So we forged the blade profile, and then we forged in the bevels. That was the beginning of the video, the live stream. We forged in the blade profile, and then we dropped those bevels down. We're not 100% done with the blade profile. We got the blade profile to about 80%, 75, 80%, and then we're going to go through and finalize it once we get this tang drawn out and get it folded back onto itself. But yeah, we forged the blade profile. When we start getting to this point, to where we're more square than rectangle, one of the things that you'll have to focus on is keep it from turning into a rhombus. You want it to stay square to this ricasso area. It'll start wanting to twist itself. If you do that, you're going to end up messing it up. So you need to be forging this square, but because it's square, it's going to want to twist on you as you're forging it. We need to go down about another 1/8 of an inch thickness on this. So there's going to be a lot of that forging, keeping it square, keeping it square, keeping it square, because we only want it to be able to twist when we want it to twist. Drawing out my progression, yep. Up the sides. Yeah, drawing out your progression is a huge thing. Just started 4 full tang hunters. Heck yeah. What else is everybody else working on? I mean, that's cool that y'all are doing that stuff too. Is that what you said? Yeah, Steve? Yep, perfect. Ever make a bayonet? I haven't done a bayonet, no. One of the knives that I am working on right now, off camera, is this ladder Damascus with this gidgee right here. That's going to be a good profile. It's got my R sharpening choil for Rivers, my last name. That's going to be an awesome little EDC. That was a customer order for that one. Whew. I think I can open these doors back up. It's too hot in here. Probably about 105 degrees in here right Yeah, it was easily 105. Oh, that's so much better. Holy cow. All right. Let's keep going. Go ahead and check our length. We need about another 1.5 inches. Remember, we needed 3 inches a couple of minutes ago. We've already gained 1.5 inches in length. So I'm going to switch to my dog head, a little bit lighter hammer. And some of y'all might be wondering why I'm not using a straight peen or a cross peen to draw this length out. Because a lot of times whenever we're forging something and we're trying to get length, we use a cross peen or we use a straight peen to get that length out of it. You don't want to do that on this step because you hit it one time with this straight peen just too hard and you're going to automatically go thinner than what you need to be. So just use a nice flat-faced hammer, maybe even a rounding hammer, and stretch it out that way. You want to put nice broad dents into it. You don't want to put a sharp dent into it that might be too thin and screw you over. What's up, cowboy? We're going to work our first knife, Japanese Nada, 1095, heck yeah. And then can you show us your anvil base? Yeah. So for the anvil base, it is 2x12s. So it's a 2x12. Whew, that's hot. 2x12. And then there's another 2x12 stacked on that's offset, and another 2x12 that's offset. So basically every other 2x12 has a space so that you can put things like, let's take this out, you can put your hammer down inside there. I've got a piece of banding material outside there, but it lets you get a broader base and have the ability to store tools on it. So it's really awesome. It is a heavy son of a gun. And the cool thing about this is you can figure out how tall you need your anvil, and then you can have Lowe's actually cut your 12 or 2x12 down to the perfect length on every single one of them to where all you have to do is screw them together. And then I put the anvil on the base, marked an outline around the base of the anvil, took the anvil off, put silicone in that area that I marked, and then I put the anvil back on it, and then I strapped it down. That's the reason why I don't have that loud ringing noise. And I have a video on this you can check out on the channel. You can see how I actually built it. And some of the ways that I got my measurements so that I had the right height on the anvil. Y'all are crooked. Let's go about right there. Alright, let's get to do this. That's too hot to do this. I want it to cool down just a hair. about another inch. And if you're wondering what I meant by the fact that it was too hot or why I was saying it was too hot, if you go in here and you start forging it with it glowing like that, whenever you are hammering it, you're going to put a big dent in it real fast. You want to be slightly hotter than planishing heat so that when you're forging on this step, you're not hitting it and just crushing the steel. If I'd have started forging on it as hot as it was with the hammer that's this heavy, I would have got too thin too fast. So you want it to be right at about 1650 to maybe 1700 degrees when you're working on this particular part of it. Mine is 2 steel and 4-wheeler tires. Nice. What's up, Split Slices? How you doing? So we're going to keep going with this. We need to stretch out another inch in the tank. This is where blacksmithing skills come into play on this, because you really need to create a nice even square. Because whenever this handle's done, it's done. There's no grinder cleanup, nothing. You got to keep it nice and square, nice and even. You're not going to be able to stock or move yourself into making something look pretty. None of that. I'm going to drop that down just a little bit. So what I'll do on one of my next heats, I'll find a part of the anvil that really matches that heel, and I'm going to end up forging. You see this little dip that's right here? We're going to hammer just past it. So we're going to put that heel, basically this little piece that's right here, that the hammer is right and tucked into, we're going to put that on the edge of the anvil where it matches up the most, and we're going to hammer just past it, so we can take this piece right here, drop it down. Should probably put a little caveat in there. We're going to do that after we get the tang the size that we need it. Because if I started trying to make that look pretty right now and then continue to forge it and stretch it out, we're just going to screw it up again. Turn this back, which I've already seen the anvil base. What do you think of Balisong or Tomahawk combo? That would be crazy to see. If you're making an anvil stand out of lumber, remember that lumber is 30% stronger in vertical rotation than horizontal. Absolutely, you'll see a lot of people that lay it down and stack it up. That's not what you want to do. You want to be hitting towards that grain. All of the grain on these bases, both these bases, the grain is vertical. You want to be hitting down on it how it would be standing up as a tree. So that's a great point. Good point. Armando, we are forging a blacksmith knife. in my style. I'm going to show you how square we are right now, and we're still not even done. So we have a nice, almost perfectly uniform thickness going throughout the tang there. Same thing for here. So as you look at that, that's almost a perfect square. And we pulled that out of a rectangle. And we are at the length that we need to be, but I still want to step it down just a little bit more and even it out, because I want it slightly thinner than what it is right now. And I mean just barely. So we're going to thin it out one more time, and then we're going to go ahead and start focusing on that first bend, which is going to be this bend right here. We are going to end up with a nice curve like this, so we're going to get that in there. But we need to focus on, this is the first bend, and then it's going to wrap around the pole to the second bend and come here. But we want to kind of figure out where exactly this is going to be, because we're going to do a twist right here before we bend it. So we're going to put it in the vise, and we're going to spin this section and put a twist all the way to about right here, and then be able to go into here, just to add that little extra flair and style to it. All right, let's go ahead and pull it back out. Remember, whenever you're seeing me forge it, kind of at this temp that we're at right now, it's actually hotter than it looks on camera, but at these steps, we're basically planishing. We're keeping it nice and smooth, we're getting it nice and square. We've got nice sharp edges on this. We still haven't fully planished it, but we have a nice, even square for our rat tail. And we are absolutely as long as it needs to be. Got to shut the doors again. We're raining again. There we go. Go back in the forge. Now what I'm going to use on this next heat, I'm going to go ahead and drop that tang down like I said I was going to, from that ricasso down into the rat tail. I'm going to drop that down. And then when we planish, we're going to use this little bitty auto body hammer. boop, 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 boop. So we're going to use that when we're actually making it perfect. And when we get to that point, we're going to be using that anvil right here. So what I'm going to end up doing is we're going to drop that rat tail down a little bit, and then we're going to move this anvil out of the way, and we're going to pull the other anvil over so that we're nice and in the light and y'all can see what I'm doing. So where I need it to get hot, because I need it to get hot right at the ricasso area, I need it to get hot right here because we need to be able to push this section down to make a nice even sweep on it. So y'all saying here, vertical, so would you slot out, the handle pass through. So the handle material, the little inlay is going to be, this is going to be bone or a piece of wood. And it's going to be pinned, actually coming down through the top of the spine and through the under part. So the pins are going to go vertical instead of horizontal like a normal handle would. So that's the way that's going to be in there. I wanted to do something different. I haven't seen anybody do one of these blacksmith knives like this, so I wanted to kind of just play with it and do my own take. You know, get as original as you can. So now we're going to put this heel on here and hammer just in front of it, or behind it, I guess you could say. Okay, now, no more hump. That was the goal. We want that nice round profile on there. So now all we got to do is drop this down and then wrap it around. So that's what we're going for right there. There's a little bitty bump right here. I'm going to put this in the vise. And I'm just going to run the file just over that little bump. Kind of hot file it. Remember, whenever you're doing these knives like this, you're not trying to use any 2x72 during this process. So you can see exactly what I did here. All I did was I had a little spike that went out right here from forging that. Just went ahead and cleaned that off. So we have a nice even transition in there still. But hot grinding's fun though. We're not gonna hot grind, throw all those crazy sparks everywhere. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and heat that rat tail up, and we're gonna go ahead and planish it, which we're gonna be doing that on the other anvil. So we can go ahead and move this one out of the way. Forge scale. Remember, all my anvils are on casters like this where I can roll them already. It's the easiest way to move these. People wonder why I don't have them like mounted to the ground, like hard mounted. That's why. Move this over. Now you can actually see the pole I was talking about. I did make a shim down here that y'all can't really see very well, but because this pritcher hole is bigger than this pipe, I went ahead and made a shim that has the same radius as the pritcher hole on the pritcher hole side and the same radius as the tube on the tube side. This is a really, really, really thick walled tube that is the perfect thickness that I need to be able to forge around. I'm turning this a little bit so y'all can actually see what we're doing. We're going to let that come down a little bit in temperature because we want to planish this, not forge and move material. Now we're trying to create a perfect square. Okay, we've got a nice arch to this profile now. So from tip, there's a nice arch back to here. We have a nice long even tail that has a nice even thickness throughout the whole entire thing. What's up, Bob? You see that there? That right there is what we're going for to be able to make this blacksmith knife. We have plenty of length there. So now what we need to do is we need to reference our marks that we have on the face of this anvil, showing where the first bend needs to be and then where the second bend needs to be. We know that we have enough tang length. We're at about 10 inches right now because I had it marked to 9.5 and we're about half an inch longer than that, so we got plenty of tang. We're looking good there. So what we're going to end up doing now is we're going to figure out, like I said, where that first bend is going to be, which is going to be right at 3 1/4 inches, okay? And all I'm going to do at 3 1/4 inches, show y'all real quick. So I've got this is like a soapstone. What's nice about it is I can mark where I need to be, and it will stay on there while it's in the forge heating up. So I'm going to mark it, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a very just simple twist right there. And I'm just going to put it in the forge to where that will be the main point that the actual forge touches. And what I'm going to do is, y'all are going to see me back here at the vise. If I could bring y'all back closer there, I would. We would lose the Wi-Fi's. I'm going to go ahead and reorient the vise a little bit. My goal here is to be able to put this twist in. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. Okay? We're going to take this handy dandy wrench right here. Take this wrench. We're going to get it down to the size of the tang. And we're just going to put the... We're going to do a few things here that some people probably wouldn't do. But we're going to take and we're going to put it in the vise just below, or just where the vise is just below where we just marked. And then we're going to twist just above where the second bend is going to start. So we got 3.5 inches. We're going to twist about 1.5 inches of this. So we're going to bring we're going to have the vise here, and we're going to put about 1.5 inches distance between the vise top and the bottom of these. And we're just going to twist it. And we're going to twist it about 3 times, and it'll look pretty good. So y'all will see this as we get it out of here and put it into the vise. You can see here, I don't know if y'all are going to be able to see it, but you can I can see the actual soapstone mark. That's what matters. So we're going to go on here. We're going to clamp it down right below that. Go about 1.5 inches up. Twist. We want this tang to line back up. Alright, I'll show you what we got here. That is our twist. So if you look on this side, there is my soapstone mark. This is our 1.5 inch twist right there. We still have a decent little arch to this, which is fine. We're really focused on this arch because there's going to be a bend right there where that mark is. That twist is going to wrap around this pole right here. Structural steel, exactly. Splint slice is always coming in, dropping the knowledge bombs. But yes, this right here, if you don't have a soapstone and you want to get into blacksmithing, make sure you get yourself a soapstone. It is 100% worth it. We still have a nice flow. I'm cool with how this is right now. Got a nice little arch to it. I think what I'm going to do before I actually do this twist, I'm just going to bring this arch down just a little more. I want it to have just a little bit more of a curve back down to here. So I'm going to bring this rat tail down just a hair. We do not need it in the forge very long to do this. Because all we're going to try and do is just work that tail down a little bit. So we just need a little bit of heat into it. No, I won't be forge welding it just because we are going to have actual pins going from the spine part of the tang to the belly part of the tang. So there's going to be a pin that goes through the actual handle vertically. There's going to be a pin here, and it's going to go through handle material that's going to be inlaid in between this little the space or cavity void or whatever you have right here. So there's going to be a pin all the way through this on both sides, and they're going to be pinned into place. Hard time picturing this. Well, thank you, Doug. All right, so let's go ahead and just kind of get us a nice little arch. As a matter of fact, we'll use this horn that I never get to use for anything because it's got too big of a curve to it. There. All I'm doing is just adjusting that spine a little bit. Take some of that curve out just a hair. That's going to be perfect. Woo! Dude, we are holding on by about a 1/16 of an inch, these tongs. Right there. So, don't focus on how crazy this is. Whenever we fold this back around, you'll see that it makes a whole entire handle. So now, go ahead, put it back in the forge. We want to really focus the heat onto that area where the spin is, or the twist. What's up, Frank? Hey, Frank. So if y'all don't know this, Frank Machado, that's the guy I've been talking about this whole entire time with the two bastards, you know, Smithy and Supplies. That thing that you told me to do to the face of this dog head was the thing. Once I got that set up on there, this is easily my favorite hammer in the entire shop. I love this hammer so much that it is ridiculous. Like, that was awesome. Absolutely awesome. Favorite hammer. Oh, and by the way, Frank, we used the 5.5 pound for most of this video. That bad boy makes you feel like a power hammer. So now what we got to do is we got to forge around this pipe right here to get ourselves this circle right here, which is going to end up being a ring, kind of like a karambit. So we need to forge around that pipe so that we can then come in here and forge that intersection. The art of craftsmanship, what's going on? So if you didn't see, again, that's what we're working on. We're doing a different version of a blacksmith knife. We did a twist on the outside here. We're about to forge around here and then tuck it back in. And that's going to end up having a bone or wood inlay. The pins going through it. So now we want to go ahead and do is fold around. The handle material is most likely going to be bone. So just work this around. As a matter of fact, what I'm most likely going to do, make this easy on me, we're going to grab the V-bore tongs, the square jaw tongs. We're going to grab this and just bend it around this for the initial bend. Okay. We're going to get it hot again. We need to get this nice and tight. Okay? So we have our little arch here. We need to pull this back up. and loop that around. So got to get everything nice and tight again. Really focus the heat on just that area that we're trying to bend, which is going to be right there where the twist is. Tornado Garden, what's up? Rabbit with the wrench. So what are you working on right now, Mr. AOC, Mr. Art of Craftsmanship? If y'all didn't watch their Viking Challenge video, literally the intro to that video is priceless. Absolutely love the intro. If you don't watch Art of Craftsmanship as a channel, you should go subscribe to them, all of that. So just look it up, watch their Viking video, and then watch the last challenge video. It's just the best intros. And on the last one with the dog, oh my gosh, it's awesome. All right, this is hot again. Go ahead and keep bending. That's good there. Now what we need to do is we need to pull this section that's right here. That needs to get pulled forward. So this corner needs to come forward about 3/4 of an inch. But we really don't want to hammer too much on that spiral. So we're going to be doing this with tongs and things like that, just to get it nice and tucked in there. Yes, we are making a blacksmith knife. This is my twist on a blacksmith knife. So it's kind of look like this guy right here. And once I get it all cleaned up and everything, it's going to be absolutely awesome. Just shot a video going to Crash Cash's open house, picked up some tongs, party hole. Nice! Heck yeah. I was just, I spent some time with the Josh Weston the last weekend, and it was a blast. Josh Weston and the guys with the Dragon Forge experience. Absolutely, just one of the funnest weekends I've had. Okay, we're going to take a light hammer, wherever the heck that hammer is. There it is. We just need to hammer this forward a little bit. Make sure we're still big enough to fit this little pipe in. It should be. Okay, we're good there. next thing that we need to do is we need to pull this piece up and into here. And I'm going to modify that just a little bit. I'm going to modify that, the end of that tang just a little bit. I think it's going to be money. You're a blacksmith. Dude, yeah, Tony Servio's video, absolutely hilarious too. His Bubba character cracks me up. I really feel lame for not doing as cool as skits that y'all do in y'all's videos. I really need to I really need to do that part of the videos. Those are just hilarious. It's the same thing for Dies in Every Film. Absolutely hilarious. I started my first blacksmith knife. I actually had an idea of wood insert, but I never did it. Well, you're going to see it be finished in a video coming up, so that'll be cool. Okay, what I'm going to do, just to make this easier on me, is I'm going to take and I'm going to pull the tang out just a little bit to the side. Grab the dog head, and we're just going to flatten that out a little bit. So we're going to flatten it out just like that. Okay? And that's going to tuck up into that finger area right here. As we come and we bend that back into itself, it's going to tuck into there. It's going to flare out a little bit. Go ahead and put it back in here. Heat that up just a little bit more. Do the same exact thing again. And then we'll go ahead and we'll bend it just a little bit. And then we'll fold it back into where it's centered onto itself. And get it nice and tucked in there. Bubba is inspired by Scooter from Kentucky Ballistics, probably. I don't know, man. Man, I love the Bubba character that he does because there are some people that just take these videos way too serious and they feel like they have to be like super professional. But screw that. We get to do our videos how the heck we want to do them, and I love that he has that character in there. Love the old Vevor Anvil for doing stuff like this. This horn that's on the back side here is actually way more useful than you could think. Okay, we have it nice and tapered how we want it to be. So now we can go ahead, put a little bend on it, and then pull it back in. Before we do the bend on it, we want to heat it back up just a little bit. We need to heat it up right below that twist, and we need to pull the tang. Right now it's like this, so blade's over here, the tang's pulled off to the side. We need to touch it to the actual side here. Gotta run. See you later. We gotta touch it to the side of the ricasso. That way we know exactly where we need to bend that area. Yeah, especially in the Samurai Challenge, everybody expected the whole tomahawk thing. That was what they just assumed, that we were just gonna, everyone was just gonna be a samurai making or sword making son of a gun. And it's like, no. We want to pull it tight like that, and then we're going to end up working this area down. Want to make sure that it's pretty close to this. It is. Heat it back up one more time. And we're going to start getting, this is the profile we're working on right now. This area. Okay, we need a nice even swoop in here. Oh, and by the way, this is what we're making. We're forging a blacksmith knife. This is my take on a blacksmith knife. Again, this is what we're making. Open the bay doors again so that it's not crazy hot here. Whew, it's like 65, 70 degrees outside and like 100 degrees inside the shop. Okay, so now we want to come in here and we want to tuck this area right here down in. So pull it like that, and then what we're going to end up doing, so now we have this loop, we need to take this area right here and start working it that way. So beat that up. What we're going to end up doing is we're just going to slowly work that down. But what we're going to do is we're going to grab the section that is right here. We're going to grab this section and we're going to pull this down. Right now, it goes like this. We need to create this curve here. So we're going to grab it right here and pull that down. And if you don't know what a blacksmith knife is, it's a knife that's primarily done by forging. You're not, all this stuff, this whole handle area is all forged. It's not going to be something that is worked on the 2x72 later. These little V-bore tongs are putting in work right now. We're going to grab it. Work that in right there. Just like that. What I like about these little V-bore tongs is you have these square jaws this way, but you also have them that way. So I was able to grab this with that square jaw right there and then work our way down to start creating that extra curve that we need. Now, back into the forge. We got to do our next curve. But yeah, the goal here is whenever you're all said and done with this particular type of knife, the only thing that you actually use the 2x72 on might be cleaning up the blade profile a little bit, but really it's just grinding the bevels. That's the only thing you should be using a 2x72 on is just the bevels, and that's it. Now we've forged our bevels in, so we barely need to do any grinding on the actual bevels, but it's really going to be primarily just a little bit of cleanup. And y'all will see the actual end result of the cleanup in a post that I make in the YouTube comment section, or it's more of like the community section that on my YouTube channel. I will have it cleaned up and everything tomorrow, but you're going to see a full blade whenever I'm done forging this. I mean, it will look like a knife. Now, grab it again. going to grab it again, and we're going to start bending this little piece down right here. Okay? See how we got it bent right there? And then we're going to move it over and tuck that up into here. All right? And that's going to work its way right up into there. And, well, it's awesome to have y'all here. I love it whenever we have a good showing and a good conversation in the comment section, just because, you know, that's what makes these things cooler than whenever I just release a video. When I release a video, it's primarily me just talking to myself, and then y'all get the comment after the fact. But with the live streams, I actually get to chat with y'all live, which is really cool. Squash Life, what's up? How you doing? Also, again, thank you, Tornado, for coming around here and hanging out with this. First time watching live. I've seen her. Awesome, man. Daniel, awesome to have you here on the live. All right, so let's go ahead and keep working on this. I want to go ahead. I'm just going to grab this and bend it just a little bit more to where it actually kind of follows that. And then we can twist it over into place so it's in line. And now we still got to straighten a few things up and everything. But now we just need to tuck this area up into here. Remember, all of this was done during this live stream. So we're going to pull that up into that area. And it's going to look absolutely perfect. Pull y'all up a little bit so y'all aren't there. Now I actually fit in the camera a little bit better. Hey guys, heck yeah. Well, thank you for bringing him over here. Now I don't know if you brought him over here or if he came over here and you just happen to be hanging out. Either way, thank you for being here. I love doing blacksmith knives. It's one of my favorite styles of knives to actually mess with. I just don't get a chance to do them very often, but I really love the process of making blacksmith knives. So now we just need to come in here gently, tap that into there. And what should happen is this should be pretty close to that heel. Heat it up one more time, and then we should be able to tap that right on in there. And all we need to do is do some straightening, things like that. And a lot of this comes into play whenever I talk about material management and actually being able to know what you need to start with, know what you need to get to. So it's called a blacksmith knife because you have to use a lot of blacksmith techniques to actually make it. And blacksmiths tend to, they were making these knives a while back. That was kind of their thing. But a lot of the techniques that you use in this are blacksmith techniques, not bladesmith, not knife making techniques. They are blacksmith techniques. So a lot of people, you know, it's a blacksmith knife. You're not just making. And I'll tell you this, if Split and Slices is still here, he'll probably give you a full education on it. But it is absolutely awesome. But yeah, it's one of those things where you have to be thinking to like very far into the steps to be able to make one of these, and to get everything to fit how it needs to fit. Like that. So at this point right now, it's probably close to about 800 degrees. But whenever I first pulled it out of the forge, it's probably closer to about 1600. Right now, I just want to make sure that that little guard, what you don't see is that little area turns into a guard. You see how it's wider than the heel of the knife? So that turns into the guard. We get it tucked up into that area nicely. We get a really nice, even handle profile. I'm going to go ahead and heat it back up, tuck it in there one more time, and make sure that that the handle's nice and even.
One of the questions that was asked while you were going back and putting it back in the forge for a repeat was with a handle like that, would you do a full quench or a partial quench, and why? Watch slide past that question.
Good question on the quenching of this. I am going to quench just the blade. I'm not going to quench the handle. I don't want the handle to be brittle. Now I could easily quench the whole entire thing and then temper it all back, but I don't want the handle, put it this way, my goal is for the blade to be about 60 to 61 HRC. If I quench the whole entire thing, the handle would be 60 to 61 HRC, which is too hard for a handle. So I'm only going to quench the blade, and I'm going to leave the handle softer. So let's see here. All days working on it. How long have I been doing this? I've been making knives for about 5 years now. What about the twist? You're going to leave it like that. You're going to shape it. The twist is going to stay twisted inside there. Kind of still is it? It's 5160. So this is actually, the steel from this is off of a Willys Jeep leaf spring. So these leaf springs are actually still painted that olive drab green, because I guess whenever they were making those Jeeps, once they put them together, they painted the whole entire Jeep green. The underneath, the springs, the axles, the everything. And so yeah, this Willys Jeep leaf springs, pretty much a lot of the knives that I make for myself are made out of this steel. I only sell a few of the knives here and there. I've got a couple of them on my website right now that have this material, but it is my favorite steel to have as a knife. Out of all the steels that I work with, it has the best edge retention that I've ever had out of any knife. And I've made swords with it and cut trees with them and shaved with them. So it's absolutely awesome. Again, if you want to go check out the website, theriversexperience.com, I've got a 25% off on there right now. All the blades and the profiles that I have on there. Okay. Again, just keep hammering into this little area. I don't want any light shining through there. We're nice and even. So now I want to go through and make sure that the handle is straight. That way it's in line with itself. Make sure everything sits even. Okay, that's looking good. Now what I want to do is just go ahead and pretty up the blade. But our handle is looking good. That center section's nice and open, so we can put that inlay in there. We've got a nice profile. So now all I got to do is just come in and again, keep working on it just a little bit. I do want to pull the handle over just a hair. Yeah, okay. That's looking better. Good. Now we'll grab it by the handle, we'll planish out the blade. And we will have ourselves a nice looking blacksmith knife. So I'm going to use these offset tongs when I've been working on this the rest of the way. So I'm going to try them out and see if that works. If not, we'll continue to use the V-bore tongs. But basically, we want something that's not going to mar up the handle at this point. And I try to do this every single Saturday. That's always my goal. I have a solution, so I have an anvil. Using the top of the vise for projects, an option rather than buying an anvil. If you can easily get your hands on a railroad track, you can easily do it. They sell them on eBay and things like that. Great. Do not go cut yourself a piece of railroad track off of a railroad track. One that's in use. Don't do that. But the other thing that he said there, sledgehammer, you can get yourself a big hefty sledgehammer. You can actually put that in a stump and use that. The head of a sledgehammer is real useful. You can get a big one, big head on it. Also, you can go ahead and get a pretty inexpensive anvil from Harbor Freight. So if you wanted to spend about a little less than $100, you can just get an anvil from Harbor Freight. Call it done. They've got cast steel anvils now. These are perfect for this. Look at it. So it just tucks itself into there, grabs the square. Absolutely perfect. Now we're just going to go through and planish the blade. What that planishing word means is just smoothing the blade out. Taking any big hammer marks out of it. What's up? Got Mrs. Rivers over here. This is the Rivers experience. When you're planishing, you don't need to have a whole lot of heat in the blade. All you're trying to do is get things straight and even. I'll show you what we're working with here. I do still need to work on the handle just a smidge. But you can see where we're at right there. Our edge is nice and even. Matter of fact, I'm going to grab it on the other side. Our edge is nice and straight and goes even with our tang. Okay. Nice and straight. We've got a nice profile on there. The one thing that I want to do is just clean up this area right here. Could it be easily just left? Sure. But I want to adjust it just a little bit, and then I'll be happy. So I'm going to put it handle first back into the forge, but you can see how well we tucked this up into that little area right there. But that is what. Now, of course, the blade is a little bit bigger, but that is the profile that we were kind of aiming for. Now, of course, it's because I have the paper further back, it looks like it's like way bigger, but it's not. But I mean, what's wrong with having a slightly larger blade? Now, of course, I can always come in with the 2x72 and mess with that profile a little bit and call it good. Do I thermocycle? Yes. So once I'm done doing this forging, I will do an annealing phase, and that will be resetting the grain structure. So bringing it up to 1600 degrees, letting it cool inside the forge, and then whenever I do the heat treating process, I do a normalizing cycle, bringing it up to 1600 degrees, let it cool outside the forge. Then I bring it up to 1500, let it cool outside the forge, bring it up to 1400, let it cool outside the forge, and sometimes I'll even bring it up to 1200 and let it cool outside the forge. So yes, I do a normalizing and grain refinement cycles. If people didn't know what thermal cycling was, whenever they asked that, that is thermal cycling. You have a normalizing cycle and then multiple grain refinements.
One of the questions I was asked, well, you can segue into something else, like why you didn't do live last week.
What's up, Arlen?
Have you ever made a railroad spike knife?
Yes, I have made railroad spike knives. My first few of them were during the Dragon Forge experience thing, where we were actually learning how to make several different types. I actually forged a Warhammer during that event too, which was really cool. But I will be doing a few videos on railroad spike knives in the future. Okay. So my wife's wanting me to explain what the Dragon Forge experience is or what I was doing there. So if y'all get a chance, look up the Dragon Forge experience and y'all will see kind of what it is. It is really cool because the forges that we use during that event are actually, the bodies of them are dragons that Josh Weston, one of the Forged in Fire champions, that he kind of designed. And it's really cool. I'm going to be doing this experience in the fall. I'll be doing the Dragon Forge experience. I'll be one of the blacksmiths and grinders. It's an event that happens in a few different places all across the United States. And I'll be one of their blacksmiths, which is going to be pretty cool. So we're good there. I'll tuck it in there one more time. Man, I feel like this just turned out absolutely perfect. I feel like this profile with this whole style and everything, absolutely awesome. And just in case y'all are wondering, how many times have I done this? Toby just, Dad?
Really?
Yeah, so if you're wondering which Rivers experience is talking right now, that would be Toby, my child. Evidently, he has the keyboard in the house right now. That is funny. So, that's most likely my 7-year-old, Tobias. But anyways, this is the first time I've ever made this profile. So, us doing this process, it's not like I've made 50 of these and y'all are seeing the 51st one. This is the first one that I've done like this. So doing the twist on it, figuring that stuff out, y'all just watch me make the first one on my channel. Have I done blacksmith knives in the past? Of course. Have I done one exactly like this? Yep. This is the first one. Oh, they all saw you in the chat, Bubba.
Oh, I didn't realize. I'm gonna go back in the house and type other things.
And type other things. That is my little mini-me. He is just like me. Except for cooler. Okay. I think I'm done screwing with it for now. I want y'all to see this and all of its glory. So we're going to switch tongs. Okay, so there's our whole entire profile. And yes, I agree, it does look like it can easily have a swedge on it. But if you look here, the way that we did this guard, we have an actual guard. It flares out. So it tapers. Right there. It tucks into this little step down that we forged. It tapers there. We've got a nice straight spine on there. Got a nice straight edge that's centered in there. Got the twist around the back side of the handle. And that is all forged. So what do y'all think about that? So we went from something that was absolutely not a knife, that did not look like a knife, to this in this live stream. We are fully planished. We got bevels forged in. We've got full profile, everything all in there. And we were doing this just based off of a profile that I've never done before, that I just drew up and took measurements for where I think things should go. And then we forged it out. So I think this is going to turn out real cool. And what I'm going to end up doing is tomorrow I'll go through and I will clean up the profile. If I'm going to do a swedge or something like that, I'll go ahead and grind anything that I need to modify and adjust stuff with that. And then I will go ahead and post images of it in all kinds of different angles so you can actually see all the different angles, zoomed in, all of that stuff. And you can actually look at them for longer versus just looking at it at the end of this live stream. And then we'll end up doing a video where we actually go through and we drill holes through the spine, through the belly, and we inlay a piece of material inside this void right here to have it match this right here. So there will be a curve on it. You'll be able to stick your finger inside here. It'll have material inside there and be pinned into place. So that right there. I will tell you this, if I was to do a finished result with this, the things that I need to do, I like to do in a video. That way y'all can actually see all the processes. I don't like to skip steps or anything like that for y'all. I want to have a video dedicated to how I actually drilled this, how I did the bone inlay and all that. If I was to show the complete process in this, so from this point to being completely done, it would take about another 9 hours, I would say. And Toby's just so if I was to finish this, we would have about a 10-hour live stream. And I think that that might be just a little bit too much for a live stream. We're 2 hours in. So let's say we were doing forged in fire rules here, okay? 2 hours in, we have a full knife profile, beveled, everything like that, ready to go. And we did it all by hand with Two Bastards Forged hammers. Again, remember that. The sponsor for these live streams is Two Bastards Smithy and Supplies. The Two Bastards are Frank and Nita, husband and wife. And they not only just do the hammers like you saw me use in this live stream, but they also restore vintage hammers. They sell swage blocks. They sell all kinds of stuff. Go hit them up if you want to be able to get a hammer like I use. They're the ones to scoop them up from. They're very good priced. It is the hammers that I would suggest any expert or beginner knife maker to use. And they will suggest what hammers you should get. If you've got one hammer, they'll suggest the type of hammer that you should get or a way to modify a hammer instead of having to buy one. So the inlay will be slightly proud. Think of like a museum fit. That's kind of what we're going to be doing, or an heirloom fit. It will be slightly proud of the actual tang and add just a little bit of width, only about 1/8 of an inch, and it'll give a little bit of flair to it. So I think that's going to be cool. I'm excited about getting it nice and cleaned up for y'all tomorrow. That way y'all can see it, and then we'll end up doing a video finishing this, and I think it'll turn out really cool. And grab your forged fork winch. Oh, I've been distracted several ways in the process of this. I've grabbed hot steel, cold steel, everything. Yes, I will be chatting in the live stream or in the Discord after this. So if anybody's not part of the Discord, make sure you go and join that. Got it posted in a few different spots, a few different places, and we've got a bunch of people in there. We talk about all kinds of stuff. So if you're not a part of that, join the Discord. I've got it, so if you go to the last video that we released, on Tuesday, Duck actually has that link in there. You should leave a gap on the inlay. That's not a bad idea. I'm going to see how that looks and see how it goes. Yes, I'm pretty sure we have the Discord link on the website now. Catch Damascus takes a long time, especially the school pattern. I agree. So I'm pretty sure we have it on the website. If we don't, I will have it on there as soon as this ends. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to turn it around, blade first, and it's going to go into the forge. And whenever it gets up to probably about 1200 degrees, or whenever I start seeing a little bit of heat go into it, I'm going to shut the forge off and then let it anneal. You do not want, thank you for subscribing, you do not want to do the annealing process and the wrong way. So if y'all go through and y'all put it in the forge, bring it up to what you think is 1600 degrees, and then turn your forge off, shut the bricks, what's going to happen is your forge is probably about 1800 degrees at that time, unless you have a way to control the actual temperature of your forge. Your forge will be about 1800 degrees. What will happen is, while your knife is in there and you got those bricks shut, you already had it to 1600, it will bring itself up to almost 1800 degrees and then start cooling with the forge. That's too hot. You don't want it to be 1800 degrees. You only want it to get up to about 1600 and then cool slowly. So once it gets up to where it's starting to get a little bit of cooler, shut it off, shut the bricks. It will bring itself up to about 1600 degrees and then cool down. Right now, I'm going to adjust it real quick. I'll need it in there for about another minute, and then I'll be able to shut the forge off. Lynn Ray does an X-ray knife or traditional blacksmith knife. Yep. So I've done a. Thank you, Duck, for doing that. So with the blacksmith knives, with the Lynn Ray version, I've done a Quaken, which is kind of like what he's done, where I actually pinned the handle into place. So I'm back. I'm assuming that that is Toby on my wife Nisha's account. Toby is just in the chat. So I've done my version of a Lynn Ray knife where I actually pinned so the tail comes around and actually pins into place. If you look up, I think it's Quaken Blacksmith Knife on the channel, you'll see that. I did a lot of forging in that. Did an integral bolster Quaken with a Lynn Ray inspired handle. Mouthful. integral bolster Quaken with a Lin Ray inspired handle. So like 26 words. So yeah. What's up, Mark? How you doing? All right. So I'm gonna show y'all this real quick. If y'all were to take it where it's at right now, which is about 1600, it looks hotter than it is because the stupid camera like blows it out. If y'all were to have left it in there at that temp and then shut your forge off, that would have got up to about 1800 degrees and burned your steel. Don't want that. Go back in there. You don't want it to be 1600 degrees whenever you shut your forge off. Now, I can go ahead, turn one of the burners off, get this thing ready to shut. Perfect. Right now we're at about 1200, 1300 degrees. It will come up to about 1600, cool down with it. You should do canister Damascus. That would be fun. If I had a press, I would do more things like canister Damascus. What's up, Toby? But I will be doing more Damascus builds on the actual channel. Of course, now that I have the power hammer, if y'all didn't see that, power hammer made by Steve Jennings, who was in the comment section earlier. I will be doing more Damascus on the channel because that makes it a lot easier to forge it out. If you got to forge it out, fold it, restack it, forge it out again. Doing that by hand is a pain in the elbow. And I don't want to do that. I've forged Damascus before by hand, and it's a pain in the butt. So now that I have the power hammer, I've got a bunch of steel that I've already ordered that's technically already here. A bunch of 1084 and 15N20, which are my two preferreds. Some people like 1095 with it. I personally like 1084 and 15N20. So I got a bunch of that. Trench style knife. Yes, so I did a cleaver with a knuckle duster on it like 2 years ago. Matt Rich, he actually has that knife. I gotta get down to Texas. Right for you. I agree. We'll do both. We'll make some damage and Damascus. But I agree. I'm down for you coming down whenever you want. You just let me know.
This part, is in your About Me on your YouTube page.
Okay, so the Discord link is in the About Me section on the YouTube channel. So if you were to go to my actual channel page, like if you clicked on my face icon there, or the thing that says TRE in gold, you click on that, it takes you to my like home page on YouTube. In the About Me, which is like right below the channel header, click on the About Me. All the way to the right, you'll actually see the link for the Discord. I talk in it more than I talk on Instagram, more than I talk on Facebook, more than I talk on anything. And it's all knife related stuff, just fun. I post my insurance stuff on other channels. There's no insurance things in that. It's just all about us having fun, making things and sharing what we're making. So, Toby in the wild, he said no. He is in the wild. He is running around getting chased by his sister right now, typing stuff. I am basically non-existent on Instagram, and the reason behind that is because Instagram hates knife makers. If you're on Instagram and you're a knife maker, I'm sorry, you will not gain followers because Instagram only sends your content to people that you're already followed by.
That's not totally true.
That is totally true. It is totally true. In 2 years, I've gained 100 followers. But on YouTube, I've gained 30,000 followers in 2 years. By default, if I gained 30,000 in the last 2 years, I should have gained more than like 100, 150 followers on TikTok or on Instagram. Let's just be real. But my wife is working on that, so it is what it is. I wish there was more, but it sucks. Anyways, small little TED Talk rant on Instagram being idiots thinking that cutlery is dangerous. They'll have chefs on there that are using knives, but they don't screw them over. Anyways, I'm gonna hop off the soapbox real quick. But yes, I think this was a very successful live stream. I see you over there in the chair. Hi, Toby in the chair. I'm happy that we were able to forge this and get to the profile that we got to. Come here real quick. So this is Toby. Come around here. Come around here. So this is Toby. Come around here. Come around here. So this is Toby. This is my mini-me. This is my mini-me. Okay, take that out of here. It's gonna weird echo. Okay, take that out of here. So he will. Hi, mini human. So with what they'll do is whenever I'm working in here and I'm not forging, they will actually come in here. I've got a TV in here and surround sound and all that stuff, and I play my music off that into here. I can't do it on videos because I get copyrighted. But they'll come in here, they'll sit in these chairs that I have in here, and they will just hang out while I'm doing work. It's awesome. Sim tips, hustle and grind, guys. The hustle and grind thing, the podcast is really good. If you haven't listened to it, the Triple T podcast is cool. The Dennis Tyrell one. This next one that he's going to be releasing is going to have the winners of the Viking Challenge, both the winners in the judging category, the winners in the actual competitors category, which is like me against Blackbeard, against Guys in Every Film, against Dennis and all of them. And then they're going to have the winners of the viewer submissions. So that's going to be a good podcast to listen to. If you haven't listened to it, make sure you check out that one, the Triple T podcast, okay? I think he's got it on several different platforms and everything like that. The Triple T podcast, they're going to have everything for that, the challenge, all on there. You'll be amazed if Blackbeard doesn't win this. Let me tell you something. He had a commanding lead. Commanding lead. Like, ridiculous. All right, Randy. Thank you for being here. Paperclip or paperclip? Same thing. You're not a dog, you're a human. Anyways, guys, I think we're going to end it here. We got this thing forged out. We got everything to where we wanted it to be. And like I said, tomorrow, thank you, Jason, for voting for me. I had my favorite one out of all the builds. I built the thing that I wanted to make. If I was a Viking back in the days, I would want to use my build to pillage and plunder. That would be my thing. I love my blade. The way it's weighted, everything like that. I'm not a big fan of crazy Damascus swords for challenges like this. That's not my jam. They wouldn't have had ones like that back then. So, but you could have seen something like mine back then. That's what I focused on. Anyways, I think that Blackbeard has a very good chance to be the #1 person, and probably Dennis second, because people love his crazy, his, the, what are those called? The Damascus style that he does. Mosaic Damascus builds that he does, with the gold inlays and all that stuff. Yeah. Let's see here. Next live tomorrow. So the lives are every Saturday for now. I am getting another job, and I don't know exactly when I'm going to be leaving that job on Saturday. As long as I get out of that job early enough on Saturday, I will continue doing the live streams on Saturdays. If not, I'll just pick a different day. But knife making full time, you can't just do that unless everybody buys all your stuff. Everybody doesn't buy all my stuff. They buy a decent amount, but not everything. Guys, let's go ahead and end it here. And I will see y'all tomorrow for the community post for the cleaned up version of this knife, having it all cleaned up so y'all can actually see close-ups of it. And then on Tuesday with the Shop Talk Tuesday, and then next Saturday with the live stream. We got a lot going on. I think it was good. Well, the good news is you can go ahead and watch the live stream again as just a video and skip through it as much as you want. Kind of like that girl at the gym. It's good, almost not real. I agree. Again, I would want to use and abuse the thing that I made. I would not want to use those. They're like ceremonial swords. I would not want to use it in a war because I'd be too afraid to hurt it. But mine, I would brutalize stuff with it. And I know how that still acts against all kinds of things. I've cut trees down with it and shaved with it. That's good steel with good tempers. So, Dad, do not stop. I gotta stop. I'm hungry. Guys, thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for participating in the comment section. I'll catch y'all tomorrow, Tuesday, and Saturday. Y'all have an amazing weekend. Have an amazing day. I'll catch y'all next time. Y'all stay safe out there. Thank y'all for subscribing. Have an awesome time.